Hello, beautiful humans of Earth. It is I, Christina, here at Fit and Bendy, and today we are going to focus on feet and ankle mobility. And we really want to have a lot of nice range in our feet and ankles for walking, running, jumping, and also for making pretty shapes with our feet. So this is an especially good workout for those of you who might have sprained your ankle or sustained some foot or ankle injury in the past and lost some mobility. We really want to get that back and have both of our feet feel even and equal in their ability to move and work. So all you need for today's workout is a low table or chair. If you have a foam roller, that's even better, but you don't need one. And we are going to start on the floor. So meet me there. We're going to start by just checking in with our ankles. So you're going to stick your legs out in front of you in pike. And if pike is kind of a difficult position for you, feel free to sit on a couple yoga blocks or a cushion or something like that to elevate your butt. We're not really caring about the hamstring stretch part of this right now. So this isn't about the hamstrings. Doesn't matter if you're leaning forward or anything. And you just want to look down at your feet and start to move your ankles. So we're going to flex the feet. And what you're looking for is a difference between your right and left flexion, right? For me, I have a lot more in my left because of all the problems I've had on my right side. And then we're going to do the same thing with the point. And you can see I have drastically more movement in my left. And we're just going to go back and forth. So this is serving both as a time for observation of our ankles and also as just a way to warm up a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to lean forward here and get a stretch in my hamstrings. You can just do whatever you want with your upper body. Really, you want to focus on what's going on from the knee down. And one thing to look for is that when you flex, there might be a tendency to kind of bring the big toes back and in like this. As you're flexing, you really want to try to get your pinky toes even with the big toes and have your foot evenly pressed back towards the knee. And then when you point, you might notice a kind of sickling or turning in of the big toes towards each other. Again, you want to think about bringing the big toe and the pinky toe evenly down towards the floor. And if you're noticing those kind of tendencies of the foot to turn or rotate a little bit as you do this, this is a good exercise just to work on trying to control that movement. And we're going to try to build the muscles in this workout that really hold the foot in that nice centered place. Let's do 2 more. And right now, I'm not caring so much what you're doing with your toes, right? The toes are just kind of moving along with the foot. We're really focusing more on foot and ankle for this particular round of exercises. Now, let's see if we can increase that range just a little bit. So you're going to find your block or foam roller, and I'm going to show you how to do it with both options, depending on what it is that you have. So if you don't have the foam roller, you're going to put the ball of your foot on the edge of a chair or table. And the thing that we're focusing on is trying to get the weight into the big toe knuckle of the foot. So you're trying to press that big toe knuckle down. There can be a tendency to roll out here. So I'm actually going to bring my knee and internally rotate the whole leg to try to get the weight into that big toe knuckle. If you have the foam roller, you're going to put the foam roller against the wall or table or whatever it is so it doesn't roll, and do the same thing on the foam roller. And the roundness of the foam roller is helpful for this, but again, it isn't necessary. And we're just going to lower that foot down, keeping this internal rotation of the leg, knee turned in, and lift it back up. Now, I did not make up this exercise. This comes from the lovely folks over at IKN, and I will link their website below. And they have so many great exercises. I've learned so much from them. So all credit where credit is due. And what you want to feel as you're doing this exercise is that your calf is working, particularly this outer part of the calf right here. And that's a big part of what is going to lift the top of your foot up towards the ceiling here. And then the other thing that might be exciting for you to feel is the muscle in the arch of the foot. And believe it or not, if you are flat-footed, Oftentimes it's a muscular thing rather than something that's genetic that you can't fix. Sometimes it's difficult to lift that arch back up, but a lot of times doing exercises that strengthen the arch of your foot can actually change the shape of your foot. And this is an example of a way that you can do that. And we're just going to do a couple more now. Again, this particular workout isn't focusing so much on toes. We're really focusing on the muscles of the feet and the calf. But if you want, you can kind of wrap your toes down around the foam roller, or if you're on the table, press them down into the table to get a little extra work there. And you can see I'm already getting a little bit of shaking. This is my post-surgery foot, so it's a little wobbly. Now, this particular position that my body is in isn't the most comfortable for this. We're doing this so you can see your foot and see what it's doing and make sure that your alignment is good. Once you're feeling solid with the alignment, you can go ahead and actually just lay down on your back and lift your butt up slightly, pulling your opposite knee into your chest. Or if you're new to this, keep that foot down to help support your weight a little bit. And again, lower and lift in this position. Now, I can't really see my foot, so I just have to know that my form is good here. I've practiced these enough, so I feel pretty confident that it is. We're still getting this slight internal rotation of the hip and knee in order to try to make sure that we aren't rolling out on the foot, rolling out with the ankle, because that's not going to strengthen the muscles that we're trying to target here. And we're going to do 5 more of these. And again, you can make this, if this is feeling easy for you and you know you're in the right position, if you pick up that opposite leg and put more weight into this foot, you're going to make it harder for yourself. So you can really tailor the level of difficulty that way. And let's do one more, and we're going to hold it up and press the top of that foot up to the ceiling. Toes can gently press down into the foam roller. See if you can even get a little hamstrings working here, lifting that butt up if you're laying on your back right now. Weight is in the big toe knuckle. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and shake it out. And hopefully you could feel the work there, maybe even a little shaking there. Very exciting. Let's do the left side. So again, you have the option of putting your foot on the edge of a table or low chair or the foam roller, depending on what you have at home. And we're going to turn that left leg in, bring the ankle bone in so all the weight is towards the big toe, lower and lift. And this side is so much stronger for me, which makes sense because it hasn't had the surgery and all the trauma of the other side. But you might have the opposite. Your left side might really struggle more. So we're all going to have a little bit of a different experience that way. But again, what I'm really looking for is when I look down at my foot, my ankle bone is going in, almost past my big toe in this direction. And that's going to help you find that outer calf muscle and the muscles in the arch, inner arch of your foot. So in that instep of your foot right here, those are the guys we want to target. My toe is gently pressing down, but that is optional at this point. You don't have to do it if you're struggling with the rest of it. Now, if you look down, you're like, oh, my form looks good. I feel confident. You can go ahead and lay down. A little bit of lifting up with the butt to just get a little more force into it. And we're going to continue to lift and lower here. Hopefully you're starting to feel some burn in the calf muscle there. Some work through the arch of the foot. For those of you who do dance or aerial or pole dance, this is my favorite exercise to improve your foot point. It can really help to strengthen the muscles in the arch of the foot and work on bringing that ball of the foot further into a pointed position without damaging your feet, which is what can happen with too much passive stretching. Every time you lift up, you want to think about bringing the top of your foot up to the ceiling. And again, you can make it harder by lifting the opposite knee up. So now there's less support. Let's just do 5 more. Keep Checking in to make sure that knee is turned in. 2 more. And lift and hold here. Press the top of that foot up to the ceiling. Toes go down. See if you can get a little shaking, a little cramping in the muscles as they build. And shake it out. Yay. And this last one is just a little bonus round that I like to do. So you can do it sitting up if you're just starting out, but you're gonna get a lot more juice if you're laying down. And I'm actually gonna move my feet up higher just so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing, but you can do this on the foam roller as well. And I am gonna glue my big toes, my ankles, and my knees together. And I'm gonna try to lift the tops of my feet up towards the ceiling as high as I can, tuck my pelvis under and lift up. And this is so much work in my calves and hamstrings right now. And I'm just gonna hold here and breathe for 10, 5, 3, 1, and roll down. And obviously that's not gonna illustrate. I'm gonna shake it out a little bit here. I highly recommend some shaking out after that. That's not gonna treat any imbalances because you're doing it the same on both sides, but it is just such an incredible workout for the backs of the legs. So bonus. All right, let's work the other direction. So the dorsiflexion, the flexion of the toe back towards your knee. And we're gonna go back to the right foot and just sit up. And if again, I don't care what you're doing with this leg, you can extend it straight out. You can sit on some cushions here. Though what's important is that you have this knee bent, foot straight out in front of you, heel on the floor. And you're gonna put your hands on your knee to try to hold the knee itself still. And then you're gonna flex this right foot up and then just start to rotate it right to left. And now you can see I'm holding onto my knee. So my knee is not turning. All of the turning is happening below my knee. So my shin bone is turning, my ankle is turning, my foot is turning. And you may start to feel the different muscles in your shin working. And the truth is that our knee has rotational capacities that we often don't think of or use. Our knee can actually rotate this way. And sometimes when our ankle feels stuck, part of it is coming from a lack of rotation in the knee. So a lot of times this can lead to some really nice workout burning feeling in the shin and get that knee moving in some new ways. So hopefully you're starting to feel some work there. We are going to add on. So now as I go to the pinky toe side, I'm going to tap that pinky toe down. And then I'm going to lift it up, turn it in, and tap that big toe down. And I highly recommend going nice and slow with this and really trying to blade that foot out. So I'm really trying to get that pinky toe down, big toe up as high as it can, lift it up, turn it in, and now the big toe down, pinky toe up. So this should feel like a lot of work in your shins, as well as some of the kind of tricky to find muscles in the sides of your ankles. So if you have issues with ankle sprains, this is a fantastic prevention exercise. Really working on stabilizing that ankle joint and training it to be strong in these positions that are otherwise kind of unstable and dangerous for us floppy ankled people. Since I started doing this, I have not rolled my ankle once. I used to roll them all the time. Let's do 2 more each side. And last set, hopefully you're getting a nice little burn there. And big toe down. And we'll shake it out, shake it out. Other side. Let's see how lefty does. So go ahead and plant that heel on the floor. Don't care what you do with the right side. Interlace the hands on the left knee. And we're going to start by just flexing that left foot up and waving it back and forth. And again, really important here to start to notice the difference between your 2 ankles, right side to left side. It's normal to have that difference, but we do want to address it. I'm trying to do more or less the same number. Not that I count how many exercises I do, but more or less the same number right to left for the sake of this video, but you don't have to. You should absolutely do more on the side that's harder for you to start to even things out. Your body will thank you in the long run. All right, let's do a few more of these. Really trying to maximize this rotation. So I'm trying to go as far as I can to the big toe side, far as I can to the little toe side, gradually increasing that range of motion. Now, let's add the tap. So I'm going out to the pinky toe side, tap it down. Big toe side, tap it down. So even though my right side has a lot of injuries, this is a bit of a struggle for my left side just because I am right side dominant and it's a little bit more coordinated. You might find the same thing for you. So interesting to get to know our bodies better and all the fun little quirks that they offer us. Good. And you may notice that your toes start to do some weird things during this. They can kind of try to help in various different ways. It's okay if they move around a little bit. It's not the end of the world. You just want to make sure that you're not like tapping down because your toe is moving. The tapping down is happening with the whole foot, right? I'm not using the toes to cheat. All right, 2 more each side. Big toe. Little toe, and last one, big toe, and little toe. All right, good. Let's check in with that pike stretch again. So here we are, not stretching our hamstrings, and try flexing and pointing again. And just see if you feel like you have a little bit more range. I feel like I might, even if I don't have a little bit more range, I definitely feel, ooh, look at that right foot going down. It's going down more than it was before. And it feels more powerful than it did before. And hopefully it does for you too. Hopefully it's feeling more awake and more alive. But we are not done. We're going to do a few more standing exercises to get even deeper, a little bit more passive work. But I think you're going to like it. You're going to need a low table and you're going to meet me standing. Actually, our first standing exercise, you may want to try sitting. You can also do this with your butt leaning against the wall to take a little bit of weight off of your feet. And I especially encourage you to do that if you have a history of ankle sprains or other foot ankle injuries, because we are going to start to roll our ankles in and out. So I'm going to start to bring my ankles in towards each other and then bring the bones out towards the floor on either side. And it's okay if your knees move a little bit when you're doing this. I mean, they're going to move a little bit, but what you don't want is just like a big knee movement. You really want to focus your attention and the majority of the movement on the joint of the ankle. So right where those ankle bones stick out on either side. And this will hopefully encourage you to feel the muscles on either side of your ankle. And those are the muscles that stabilize your ankle right to left and can help to prevent future sprains and heal you from past sprains. So we're going to go back and forth here. And as you go, think about gradually increasing that range of motion. So I'm gradually going a little bit further every time. And of course, it's okay for your toes to come along for the ride. They might move a little, might do some weird stuff, but the focus is on the ankle joint. Look for a discrepancy right to left. Maybe you have one. If there's one side that needs a little bit of extra, you can spend extra time on it. Give the other one a little rest to try to even them out. Now, if you've been doing this for a while and it's starting to feel good and you're feeling pretty confident and you haven't been standing up, you can try standing up. You can do the interim with your butt against the wall. And if you have had an ankle sprain, you might find that when that ankle goes in the direction of the sprain, it might feel a little shaky or nervous or not go very far. No need to push into that. No need to do anything dramatic here. What you're looking for as you look down at your ankles is that you have a smooth, controlled movement the entire way. So my right ankle that's been sprained a lot has a tendency to get to a certain point and go boom, right? There's a quick area there that I don't have great control over. So what I encourage you to do if you have that is sort of get up to that point and kind of stop and hang out for a second. and see if you can feel the strength of the muscles that hold your ankle nice and stable here. Maybe go just a teeny bit further, but not far enough to lose control, and bring it back. And keep doing it only that far so that there's no loss of control. And what will happen is you'll gradually be able to increase the range that you can control, because we really don't want to have our ankles capable of achieving positions where we have no muscular control, because that's how those sprains happen and keep happening over and over again. And again, if you have one side that is recovering, that feels tight or scary, you can put your weight on the opposite leg and then just work that side. So I can just work my right ankle back and forth. And if I have more weight on my left side while I do that, it feels a little easier to smooth it out, a little easier to have control over it, so that I can go to a slightly greater range without losing control and rolling it a little bit. If you've got a recent sprain, I would recommend staying very small with your range of motion, very small and controlled, and just gradually increase it over time. All right, let's shake it out, shake it out. And we're going to go back to working some dorsiflexion, this time with a little bit more weight on the foot so that we can go a little bit further. And we're going to start with the right foot. You're going to put your foot up on your table or bench or chair, whatever it is that you got. And foot is going to face straight ahead. I'm going to send my knee forward as far as I can until I start to feel the stretch in the ankle. Now, you might feel this as compression in the front of the ankle or stretch in the back. Either one is just fine. Now, some people might find that this amount of knee bend is hard on their knees. If this feels hard on your knees, feel free to put your foot up a little higher, which is going to have less weight in it, or scoot it a little further forward, which again is going to be less weight. But ultimately, it's good for our knees to have this bigger range of motion in the ankles. It's really good for our whole system here. So hopefully it is tolerable for your knees. But if it's not, don't do it. Like, don't make your knees worse just to get better ankles. Not a fair trade. Every time I'm going forward, I'm trying to go a little deeper into this, and I'm trying to press the ball of my foot down. So I'm not just sitting into the joint, right? I'm working it the whole time, and I'm using that pressure down to pull myself back up. Now, on this next one, we're going to go all the way forward, and we're just going to keep going, lifting the heel up slightly. So now I'm getting a little bit of a stretch in the toes as well. Then I'm going to press that heel down, deep, deep ankle stretch to come back up. Let's just do 3 more of those. So all the way forward, even further, little stretch through the toes, keeping my body as far forward as possible. I'm pressing the heel back down, using the strength to come out. It's a surprising amount of work for your foot, ankle, and even a little bit up into the knee. So really good if you want to learn how to do a nice deep squat. I lost count. I think we've got one more. On this last one, I'm going to hang out in that deep stretch position, heel slightly up, and I'm going to push the ball of my foot down, bring my weight forward, get that deep, deep compression through the ankle, and then the heel goes back down, push, use that strength to come back up. Woohoo! Let's do the other side. Shake it out a little bit. All right, right leg. Right foot up. And again, I'm trying to extend that knee straight out ahead. So I'm making sure it's not going in over the big toe. It's going straight out over the middle of my foot. I'm going to keep the heel down for these first few and bring it back. And both sides, of course, are going to feel different. That's normal and okay. If you have any kind of ankle trauma, this might be where you start to feel it. No need to push things hard. Healing has to happen gradually. So if you go forward and you feel kind of a crunchy, sad feeling, just stop before it gets too bad. Say hello to it and come back out again. That's why so much of this mobility training is about movement. Movement really helps your body get used to it, heal. All right, speaking of heal, let's lift our heel up on the next one. Sorry, that was terrible. I should be fired. So bring that knee forward. Heel comes up just slightly, little bit of stretch in the toes. Heel presses down and come back up. That feels very exciting on my post-surgery big toe, but I kind of like it now. Good. And heel presses down. Come back up. Now, if you have your foot on something lower or on the ground, this is going to be like really challenging. So for those of you who have really strong, healthy feet and legs, you dancers out there, you can just do this in a regular lunge on the floor. And that is going to be super exciting for you. I hope you really like it. Definitely very good for dancers. Let's do 2 more of these. Another thing you want to look for, by the way, if you're looking down at your toes, is you don't want your toes to be scrunched together in a tiny, sad little fist. You'd like some space between your toes as you do this. All right, on this last one, go ahead and stop in that forward position and just sink into that stretch. Stretching your toes, stretching your ankle, maybe stretching your calf. Everyone's going to be different how they feel it. And then press that heel down, use that strength to bring yourself back up and shake it out. Excellent. All right, little passive plantar stretch here. So you're going to use your table again for this. If you're using something harder than a mat, you might want to put like a little towel down or something to protect the top of your foot. If you're a dancer, you won't care at all because you don't have any nerve endings left. All right, so for this one, I'm going to put my knee down and then I'm going to scoot my standing leg back and sit my butt down on my heel and start to lift up my knee slightly. And I don't want to go super far in this because if I go really far, right, I'm stretching my toes. And I'm not a huge fan of that particular way of stretching toes. I think it's too much passive stretching for some pretty delicate joints. But if you come up just a little bit, you can get the stretch right here in the front of your ankle joint. And that, in moderation, I think can be a really good thing. And I'm just lifting and lowering, and getting a nice little stretch through the shin, through the front of the calf. Now, another thing to look out for here is to not sickle your foot while you do it. If your foot turns in like this as you lift the knee, you're going to get a lopsided stretch, and it's not going to be good for your ankle. You really want that foot to come straight back behind you. And we're just going to do a couple more of these here on the right side. And last one. And let's try the other side. Spin it around. Left foot up. And I'm going to scoot my right foot back a little bit, lean forward. And again, I'm lifting that knee up. And I have a lot more range on my left side. But again, I'm trying to not go up so high that I feel this in my toes. At least for my body, for people who are hypermobile, I think that that's just too much stretch for the toes. It might work really well for other people, but it's not something I do in my own body, so I don't teach it. But this nice little range here that just gets the top of the ankle, again, I feel that that is safe enough, even for people who are hypermobile and tend towards wobbly, newborn fawn ankles. Let's do 2 more. And last one, lift and lower. And come on out. Shake it out, shake it out. For our last trick, this is going back into dorsiflexion. And I actually spend more time going into flex this direction than point this direction because I feel like it's just neglected a lot. It's not as sexy as the toe point, but it's so important. For this one, you might want some props. So depending on how tight your ankles are, you might want something to put underneath your heels for this one to start you with a little bit of a lift. I don't have a slant board here, so I'm just going to use these 2 ankle weights. I have had clients who do it on the toes of their sneakers. You can use a couple books, whatever works for you. Or if you have pretty flexible feet, you can do it with nothing. You are going to drop down into a squat. And in this squat, you want your feet to be completely parallel. So if I look down, no turnout here, no little duck feet. pointing straight ahead. Knees are going straight ahead over the toes. So here's where we use that little dorsiflexion lunge we did earlier. And now you can start with your hands on the floor to help you. We're going to bring those knees forward as far as you can go. Keep going until your heels come up just a little bit and you're on your toes, and then you come back down. Now, if you do it with your hands on the floor in front of you, it's not that hard. But if you bring your hands up and you have to pull yourself forward with your shin muscles, this starts to be a little bit more challenging. Really, the work is happening right here, these shin muscles. We think about our calves, we strengthen our calves, we do calf raises, gym, calves. Who thinks about their shins? But shins are super important. We also want to have beautifully muscular shins that can bring our toes up towards our knees. Now, if doing this with your heels elevated is feeling pretty fine to you, we can get rid of that. Now, as soon as you get rid of that, you can see my weight goes backwards, right? So now I really have to work a lot harder to get my weight forward. And I'm not sure how closely the camera is capturing this, but you could probably see that my left heel comes up before my right heel because my right side is so much stiffer. But I am definitely getting some serious work through the front of my shins as I do this. Now, if you have healthy toes and you have not had surgery recently, you can come further forward here. So you can start to come up really into a deep toe squat. Some people can even bring their knees down to the floor. Since my toe injury, that is no longer an option for me, but you're welcome to play around with how far forward you bring your weight in between. Let's do 2 more. And back. My right foot is really wanting to turn out. Yours might be too if this is tight for you. Again, if you have injuries, you might find that desire to turn out the foot, which is trying to get around that ankle flexion. And let's just hang out here, pressing those heels down towards the floor in your squat for 3, 2, 1. And come on back up to standing. Shake it all about. All right. Hopefully your feet and ankles feel very alive and awake now. If you notice an increase in pain, especially if you've had an injury in the past, you might have pushed too hard. So really have to listen to your body in that rehab process and just do what feels right for you and gradually add on over time. No need to rush healing. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I have a few other videos that follow my toe surgery and rehab and prehab processes. So if you're interested in toe ankle rehab, please check out my exercise vlog because it is something I've been doing a deep dive into learning about, and I would love to share that with you. All right, thank you everybody for watching, and happy bendings.